All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Bungou Stray Dogs, Season 1, Episode 10. Atsushi has been kidnapped.
Yeah.
Port Mafia has him.
And Kyoka's with him as well. And
yes.
Yeah, they got what they wanted.
They really did.
So you could just
leave.
Like
bandits.
You could just say like, well, it's okay. It's not our issue anymore. He's being taken theoretically out of the country even.
Yeah, not our problem. He'll be on international waters soon enough, and that'll be that, you know? Yeah.
I mean, it's not like the ADA has like any real serious legal issues with like using their powers and stuff.
They definitely answer to the cops. Totally. I mean, well, actually, they might. Military, police, and all that. But
exactly.
Yeah. But Dazai has also been, I mean, he was captured a while ago, but he's still in there.
He's doing fine.
And he's had some conversations with people from his past life in the Port Mafia.
Yeah, and it feels like he's being used as a way to build up the Port Mafia again because they, of course, need it. And then with Akutagawa being one that is actually bringing in Kyoka, this is something that will lead to a potentially cool confrontation with Dazai, Kyoka, Akutagawa, and Atsushi.
Potentially.
Have a nice little 2v2.
Right.
Or all turns into a 1v3 if they can save Kyoka. Because
Kyoka still very much needs to be saved. Like, not just in the let's, get her back from the Port Mafia.
Right.
But Atsushi figured out a bit more of what the situation was when they had their day on the town. And we had the whole situation with Doppo's warnings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that stuff runs deep.
Yeah. Y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. All right, well, Atsushi and Akutagawa, they threw down, and
Atsushi is officially busted.
Like, Atsushi went full Wolverine, like, extreme regeneration.
Yeah.
And as far as, like, actual, like, raw ability here, no wonder people want him.
Yep.
This is insane. This is a key to immortality, basically.
Get this guy out of this series and throw him into, like, the Kizu movies or something. Yeah.
Which is funny because we had Oshino Meme's voice actor show up for the bad guy at the end.
Yes, who then wants the tiger, and we're
Francis Scott Key Fitzgerald. Now, what's fun about this is that he's like, his name is like, you can't get any more American in his name, really.
Yep.
Either. Because while he's not the Francis Scott Key, Star Spangled Banner, everything like that, he's like, Great Gatsby, Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Like,
right. And yeah, very much probably named after the dude. And then
he's absolutely named after the dude, yeah. The Ability User Society.
The Ability User Society.
So take out the.
Right, and then take the ability and put it on the end, and then take the initials of that, and what do you get? USA.
Whoa! Yeah. Now, Jacob, still, it could be AUS for Austria. It could be Australia. AUS for Australia.
That's
you don't.
Yeah, he might be from down under. No, but okay. I am. So this, I feel like, was a demonstration of how sometimes you have power matchups that are just just don't do it.
Now, I want to bring up something that is a reason as to why Akutagawa didn't actually win here. He was not actually really interested in killing him.
Yeah, he was venting emotional
frustration about the idea that this guy has taken the attention and the heart of Dazai and pointed it towards him, and Akutagawa is no longer in his graces in that regard.
It's basically the why doesn't Daddy love me?
Why does Daddy love you more than me?
Why does Daddy love you more than me?
Yeah.
Why do you get the daddy that's all accepting and stuff when I got the one that was
beating me if I wasn't strong enough.
And if you can't contribute your ability, you're worthless.
You're worthless.
Which
is basically essentially
that became his identity.
That became his identity, and that must have been what Dazai taught him. Because I'm guessing what happened is that regardless of what Dazai was back then, like if he was different as a person, which I'm guessing he was.
Oh yeah. I would hope so.
Well, yeah, but he might not be that different. That's the thing that could be eerie about this, is that Akutagawa was in such a bad place before the Port Mafia that what he might have desired was the things that Dazai was actually trying to teach him.
Desired.
Yeah, nice. I like it. But Akutagawa might have been like, no, I want to be strong. I want to be powerful. I want to never be stepped on by society again.
Right.
And he's like, well, fine. Then you have to be the strongest there is.
Yep.
And Akutagawa ultimately just can't be that strong because, like he said, your ability is nothing great. Like, in a lot of ways, if you compare him to Dazai and to Atsushi, yeah, his ability isn't anything special.
Well, and
technical powers are OP.
They are OP.
But a lot of other things are even more OP. Just saying.
Because apparently, if you're a tiger, you can punch through a barrier of non-space.
Well, no, not non-space. Something that eats space. So it is itself has space.
Sure. Yeah. But one of the other things that I think is kind of narratively kind of cool about this is that Akutagawa was trying to basically impress Dazai with his abilities. Now,
even though Dazai wasn't even here.
Sure, but also like back then, right?
Oh, back then, yeah.
And Dazai is the person who makes your abilities do nothing. So literally, he is trying to impress him in the way that I'm sure he would have impressed other people in the Port Mafia plenty, right? Because his ability is quite powerful, right?
Right.
But
Dazai,
against Dazai,
all abilities are nothing to him.
It meant nothing.
So,
It meant nothing, right? And in some ways, that was probably a great way to train him, Dazai, because then he would never be satisfied with the things he was able to do because it's all the same. It's all zero up against you. Right. And as a result of that, he got quite strong. But when it came down to the thing that he really wanted, it was smoke and mirrors. And when you talked to him, you specifically antagonized him in the way that you knew would rile him up. Because you probably figured that this fight was going to happen.
Well, also, I think that this fight happening might even be a part of Dazai's really genius setup to save Akutagawa. Is that he needs Akutagawa to realize that he's not actually that strong. And what probably happened... What probably happened is that Akutagawa and him actually got along pretty well, for the most part. But it was about the fact that... maybe a good team, but they weren't partners.
Right.
Partners was with the other guy.
Yes, that's true.
Chuuya. And with that whole dynamic there, Akutagawa probably just wanted into the Port Mafia. But once he's in, no, you're no one special.
Right.
You probably worked hard ever since Dazai left to become someone even more and more special to where you're like, no, I am the enforcer. Like, I am the one that the Port Mafia use. But... what we can see here with the way that this Francis character almost laughed at the Port Mafia as far as their potential shows that, sorry, Akutagawa, you're a big fish in a very small pond.
Right. And
very small pond.
And that's something that we kind of got the vibe of when it's like, send the ace people of the Port Mafia and they get
rinsed. They get rinsed
when some of the best people of the ADA aren't even there, right?
Right, yeah.
And then Akutagawa, really powerful. He gets taken out by a dude with a grapple gun.
Yep.
Like, now, nothing against Dopo. He's awesome.
No, Dopo's just smarter.
He's smarter, he's very creative, and all of that stuff, right? There's a reason why he beat, or at the very least staved off Akutagawa, right?
Well, yeah, he did not actually defeat him. Right. He just found a way to not die against Akutagawa.
To not die.
And then, to make him look like a chump.
Right, make him look like a chump and then run away because, okay, police are here. Maybe this isn't the best place for this, right? Yeah.
But here, no, this was power for power. Yeah. This was direct ability against ability.
You have been weighed, you have been measured.
And you've been found wanting, my friend. The biggest thing here is that while you could have, and I still want to point this out, I think there were multiple times that he totally could have killed him. But this was about more than killing him. This was about defeating him and proving that he was stronger. Because, again... every anime character will do this, so I will always try to find a reason within the character writing as to why this trope is being used. But characters never double tap in action anime; they never do it. So they'll turn their back on the character, and the character will rise up. Now, you could say that's just bad writing, sure. But you could also say that if you listen to what he's talking about here, he is basically the broken student who is jealous. Right. So if he actually killed. If he killed Atsushi, he's not proving anything. all he'd be doing is hurting Dazai. And based on the way he talks about Dazai, he actually does not want to hurt Dazai.
Right. Like, there would be a part of him that does, because it's the, oh, you hurt me, and so I'm angry with you, and all of that stuff, right? But not, that's not his real priority.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a symptom of
the pain inside him.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Now, granted, I think it might be something that we could, it might say something about Dazai's character.
Yep.
That he doesn't address any of his mistakes, and the fact that he kind of made Akutagawa.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know what he's done. He's still a big mystery box.
That's very true.
Mistakes is actually something that is assumed, because we might be a little bit more sympathetic to Akutagawa now. Yeah, and that's a good thing to do, actually. By making your guy lose over and over again, you can make us sympathetic as the audience to him.
It's kind of that Zuko effect, right?
It is a Zuko effect.
Where it's the, okay, you know, can this get patched up? And given that Dazai is a very mysterious figure and things like that, and while we trust him, we don't we don't 100% trust him, right? Like there's that little bit of like,
right, and that stuff with Chuuya was a cool example of how Dazai is one of the most impressive people in this entire show.
Yes.
Because the thing that he does that makes him so special, really, is not his ability.
No.
And it's not his mentoring aspects either. It's the way in which he is just so freaking intuitive and smart and insightful.
Yeah.
That he maneuvers through all these other people that are kind of just more powerful than him. And yet, they're incredible physical martial arts abilities rendered useless. No, I
sent a letter.
Yeah, you don't even know if I'm telling the truth, but you have to believe me.
Right, you don't want to risk that you could end up dying, you know, as a result of acting on something when, oh, yeah, no, I actually legit did do that. I took the entire Port Mafia structure and threw them into a tizzy just from one little message, you know? Like,
and that's just something that's gonna remain that way. You realize that you guys won't be able to just like undo that. As long as I live, I will always have that over you. What I'm really excited for is by the existence of a third party that's stronger, larger, more powerful, and also
enemy of my enemy.
Yes, there's an aspect of where the Port Mafia could literally become the ally of the ADA in a temporary manner, because they said, well, we will take the Holy Land. Like they had a really like weird take on the whole thing of yes,
any approach has failed.
Yeah, it's time. The bounty approach has failed. Yes, the Island Mafia are such a half-baked lot. The Promised Land will be the guilds for certain. Gotcha. So that whole nation, effectively, which could just be Japan, for all we know.
Yes, it totally could be. I would not be surprised if in this anime, the Promised Land means Japan. Yeah,
this guy is the biggest like otaku, and he has like weeb like posters and miniatures all over his room.
You think there is
he keeps it very secret. No one else knows.
You think he would have room for a nation waifu in his life other than Murica?
Dude.
Other than Freedom Land?
It's paramount to an American to subtly hate on America, though. So he broadcasts that he's all American and stuff like that, but deep inside he's like, no, I'm not all about that. I don't bleed that red, white, and blue. You know.
I don't know, man. I think this one might. But and if he does, that will be hilarious and fantastic, because now that we're getting to the end of this season, the thing I'm kind of starting to get a vibe of is that the whole Port Mafia group are just being frenemied. Like
over time, I could definitely see Akutagawa being the in for that.
Yeah, Akutagawa for sure, but then also
the Chuuya, the bit with him.
Because holy shit, what was that?
That was amazing.
That was just ADA banter. Like that was
exactly that.
Like there is
that was the like, hey, so no hard feelings, hubby, but like I have a new boy and his name's Dopo. And we're great together. Yep. But hey, you know what?
You're great for a fighting.
Yeah. But like, hey, if you're ever feeling lonely or anything like that, just I'll be by. Don't worry. Just I got you, boo.
Because
and then Chuuya's like, shut up.
Because I get that, like,
you can't get your way into my heart again that easily. And he's like, you sure about that? Yeah.
But I brought a rose. You know.
I like the way you hit me. You know.
But because the whole banter bit at the end. I get that Dazai has a lot of leverage on the Port Mafia as an organization, right? And on Chuuya specifically because of all the situations of, they wouldn't believe that I just escaped and managed to get out, so you must have let me free, so, you know, you better play your cards right, you know?
Right.
But that was some gloating. Like, that was some power dynamic gloating on Dazai's part. And Chuuya, I'm pretty sure, enjoyed it.
I'm pretty sure he did too. There was this little bit of like
he didn't take a lot of convincing.
Yeah.
To you know, do the whole like high school girl pose and, you know,
I mean,
like
I still can't get over it.
I can't either. Get over it. It's one of those things.
Are you forgetting something? And
right.
Just
like.
You know, with the knees locked together. That kills me. Oh my god!
It's something. With this show, it's always something that I'm not sure about of whether I love the comedy or hate it.
Right.
Because it's so extreme.
It's
on
so
the one
extreme
hand,
and so different from the style of the themes of the show.
So on the one hand, I'm like, this is funny, but on the other hand, I'm like, but this really kills any tension that there might otherwise be in this scene.
Right. I think that this story in general is not meant to be one of high tension. Right. This is the point that is
the fight with Akutagawa is probably an example of that. Like,
well, no, I think the fight with Akutagawa is basically it's a sad scene.
Right.
It's basically a boy who's still in the nadir at the bottom, scrambling and trying to climb his way up to the top, and he sees a tiger above him that keeps pushing him back down.
Right, exactly. It's not
from his perspective, this is heartbreaking.
Yeah, the tension is not over whether Atsushi will be alive after the first,
either of them will be dead. Or
after the first time he got impaled and just took it. Right, it's like
what are vital organs?
Yeah, exactly. We don't really care about any of the other times that he gets mutilated by Akutagawa. It's just Akutagawa. That's a inventive way of doing it, but
maybe that'll work this time. You should have gone for the head. Literally, he never actually wounded his head.
That is true. That is true. And just for the sake of making sure that we mention that, we have not seen Atsushi get decapitated. But that being said, theoretically, his whole body could just regenerate from his head. Yeah. And again, get this boy into the Kizu movies. But
you see some real regeneration there.
Oh, boy.
Holy shit, yeah.
But
okay. Then, in terms of this whole thing we're bringing up, though, with the tension, the comedy, and the show and stuff, the thing, though, that I think sets it up in a different way, though, is that all the characters are in some ways the lost boy, basically.
Sure. Okay.
There are not that many female characters in this story, but
and they don't have powers when they aren't.
But the main boys all seem to have this kind of lost element about them, and yet some of them have specific goals. And the difference, I would say right now, is that Atsushi is needing to be given a goal, a purpose, or what have you.
Yeah.
And so he's looking internally more and more throughout the series to find that within himself, which is good because that's essentially what Dazai is teaching him, is that you can find that internally. But if you look at Akutagawa, he's the example of someone who tried to find that in his own capacity, his ability and stuff, rather than
something that came outside of his own character decisions of who I'm going to be as a person, and more of just what influence on my environment can I exert.
And then over the course of time, I'm guessing this series will have more dramatic stakes as the guild gets brought in. But it's the idea that this stuff here is all essentially prologue to set up the main cast, basically.
And I want to throw this out there. Something that this show did that is very impressive in this episode is that with the way that Akutagawa was abusing Kyoka, it is very difficult to build sympathy when they're doing something like that. But the way they ended up turning it into something where Akutagawa truly believed that he was actually doing her a service, because that's the same policy that he has for himself of, I am not valuable if I'm not using my ability. That's something that turns it from it's still a horrible thing that he's doing, right? But then it's oh dude, you're so broken, man. Like, as opposed to
we pity him rather than we
Akutagawa
stop him already.
starts crying, and then all of a sudden we forget that he was coercing a young girl to murder dozens of people, right? With bombs strapped to her chest.
I mean, we don't know if Dazai was doing the same thing though back in the day.
Exactly.
So that's where the whole thing with Dopo being like, we're not heroes. None of us are. This is the city that we're in. This is the world that we live in. This is what we're forced to do.
Which is why I get so confused when the comedy comes out.
which is why I feel like the comedy is a very hit or miss kind of thing. In this episode, it was so extreme and funny. It just broke all the tension. It was hilarious. But if they wanted to, in like future storylines, have the comedy take that backseat or push it into the realm of specific characters.
Sure.
So it's not pervasive throughout the scenes of an episode.
Or
then you can get into some pretty some dark stuff, I'll just say there, with regards to the fact that all these people that are on the good guys' side, it might not be that great when you look in depth into them.
Sure. The other thing that we could potentially see in the future, if they wanted to do some different things with the comedy, is so far the comedy has been used for when it's serious and then it cuts the tension, right? Yeah. But if you go from comedy and it's like, haha, this is all funny, to then super serious, then that can make the tension much, much higher, because it surprises you. It surprises you. It's the cold shock of oh shit. Right. No, fun times are gone now.
Yeah, fun times are gone.
Yeah.
We need to take this seriously.
Even if it's just for like a scene.
Yeah.
But
I understand the desire to have your main character fight the guy 1v1 and stuff, and that's nice and all. I really loved the fight in general, but I will say that the stuff with Dopo being brought here to help in some ways, but like, oh no, I can't do anything here. It felt a little bit weird that you couldn't just have someone else go with Dopo in the boat.
Yeah.
Like, if you assume that you're going to get onto a boat, right, at all, how are you going to get on the boat at all?
Right. What was he going to do? Like,
yeah, what was he going to do?
Yeah. It's one of those things where
this show every once in a while does things where you're like, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
Like,
it's a bit of meta things of, because multiple people could have fit in that boat just fine.
Yeah.
And
you literally, all you needed was just someone to drive the boat.
Yep.
Because we know Dopo's capable enough that he could have got off of the boat and onto the big boat with some kind of utilization of his ability.
Right. And given the fact that the ADA was so unified, when the president comes in and is like, hey, no, we're going to help him, he's one of us. Now one person go and do this. It's like,
it felt a little bit like they were writing around the idea that they wanted a 1v1 fight with Akutagawa.
Yep.
Even though it doesn't make sense to have that be the case.
The other thing, and this is more of like a personal preference thing, which I get that Atsushi is the main character and all that stuff, so him standing up to Akutagawa is very important, right?
Yeah.
One of the things, though, that I expected to happen as a result of the fact that I didn't think he would have control over his abilities, enough to truly like
he
fight.
Does have, he has done this before.
I think
he has done this slightly before. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But what I was expecting is that at some point then Kyoka would use her ability to help him against Akutagawa. So that way it's not just the thing of you have this power that makes it so that you can fight this guy and win because you have this cool power, as opposed to you have this power, you did the courageous thing, you're still insufficient, but someone that you helped also then helps you, and then...
Yeah, but they already said that her ability cannot be used unless by a phone call.
Dopo, call her. This is her phone number. But
So, yeah. But, okay. We're setting up the next stage of the story, and we're also setting up a big external threat, which at about this point in the story is about perfect, because you've now basically used up almost everything potential-wise from the Port Mafia in terms of what makes them scary. And if this is it, then there's a really cool way that you can use the Port Mafia again to lose, as the guild shows up with, a whole bunch of people.
The Port Mafia is just Worf.
Yeah, they kind of are. I mean, I mean,
oh no, the Port Mafia were defeated. They must be so strong.
But yeah, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below. For our Patreon, you can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, or Semblance of Sanity, I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.